Okay. Hi. Um, I'm going to tell you a bit about my experience with the mental health system where I live, uh, which is in, obviously, you can tell from my accent, I live in the United States. Right. So, I'm not going to tell you exactly where. No stalking. Um, so, yeah, last December, I went to a it wasn't really a mental hospital, but it's like a mental health facility because of some reasons. Um, Mostly because someone told my parents that I said something that I did not say. Um, so yeah, uh, overall, it was an absolutely horrible experience. Not saying that at all places you're gonna get a horrible experience, because there's probably a lot of good places out there, but where I went was terrible. Um, it started out bad because my parents were expecting me to go in for a night or two just to, stabilize myself or whatever. That's what they had thought was going to happen. But they didn't tell my parents that there was a minimum of 7 days that you had to stay. Um, so my parents were very upset about that they didn't even tell them that, and they had told my parents that they would have a meeting with my treatment team the very next day after I got in there, and they said they would call them to let them know when to come. And 3 days passed, and they wouldn't let me call my parents. They wouldn't let my parents talk to me. They hadn't called my parents to tell them when there was a meeting or whatever. My parents had been calling this place, multiple times a day, and so the third day was like a visiting day, a day we could have visitors. So both of my parents came, and they were like, "This is not okay," because like I had uh midterm exams, whatever to yeah, exams, and I'm extremely like academics and grades are extremely important to me, and so I was not about to miss exams and either not get a grade or have to make it up and not have time to study, stuff like that. And I was like, no, this is not happening. So my parents were very upset about it too. So the fifth day that I was there, they ended up having to go in there. And they're like, oh, I guess since you're here, we'll have a meeting with the treatment team. And they're like, no, we're getting our daughter out of here now because you are all psychopaths. So they did. Um, yeah, the other thing was the people that work there. Okay, let me start off with my doctor. He was an Indian guy. I have nothing against Indians. I love every nationality. But this guy was being a psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever in America, and he could barely speak English. And he's talking to English speaking children. And I couldn't understand him, and he couldn't understand me. And from what I got out of the conversation, they'd call me into the little room where we did the thing, and he would say, how are you? But in an extremely thick accent and not proper English. And then I would be like, oh, I'm fine, because a bunch of the girls, they were like, if you want to get out earlier, you just have to act like you're perfectly fine all the time, like you're so happy and all your days are great. So I was like, okay. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm great. And he was like, oh, okay, bye. And that was it. That was the counseling session. It did what We didn't even talk about anything. It was completely pointless. So I don't. They diagnosed me with adjustment disorder, which I read somewhere is just an excuse to diagnose someone. It's not like an actual thing. Like everybody has it to some degree. I don't know. And depression, which I already knew I had. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that you're probably depressed if you want to kill yourself, but whatever. Um, yeah, and the nurses working there, if you can call them nurses, uh, they weren't actually nurses. They were just people in scrubs, but they don't do nurse jobs. They were horrible. Like, this is where kids, girls, and there's another place for boys, that girls come to live for up to 7 days. So it's their home for at least a week, almost like 2 weeks. I mean, say up to 7 days. I mean, at least 7 days. And they were in there watching. They're like, we could not watch what we wanted on the TV. They got to watch whatever they wanted to watch. We had to be completely silent during our time, like just sitting in the unit or whatever. We could not say anything, and that's totally not fair. That's like basically our where we're living, and we can't even talk. And it was ridiculous. And the other thing was there was so many fights because it's technically a behavioral health center, so there was a lot of people there with like bad anger problems. And I mean, there was a fight in the boys unit which was like right down a hallway where a TV got broken, a water fountain got ripped off the wall. Yeah, there were people bleeding, like, and there was a bunch of girls in our group that started fights too, and it was terrifying because I didn't want to get hurt. I mean, I don't even know these people. I just want to get out of here, you know? I mean, that was the other thing. Everyone just faked everything to get out because they didn't care. You know, when you're in a place like that, you don't, like, a lot of us just didn't care about getting better. We just wanted to get out because it wasn't helping anything. It made everything worse. And there were a few girls. I wasn't in there for an eating disorder or anything, but there was a few girls in there that were in there for an eating disorder. And instead of, like, reasoning with them and trying to be helpful, they're like, no, this is what you have to eat, and if you don't eat it, you get an extra day added. Like, that's not okay. You should talk to them and, ask them why they don't want, I don't know, just be helpful. Don't just be a tyrant. Oh, so yeah, basically it was a horrible experience. Um, I will never go back there. I doubt my parents will ever even suggest sending me back there. Um, Actually, I think it was my counselor at the time that recommended it to my parents after, my friend told them that. Uh, yeah, I quit seeing her because, not just because of that, but it just, you know, how things go. But, yeah, so that was an absolutely horrible experience. That was not fun at all. Um, yeah, you couldn't have shoelaces in your shoes either. You had to use zip ties. I just brought my Toms, so. But yeah. Also, they didn't tell us that we couldn't bring certain things, so my parents packed me like this stuff, and there was like a shirt with sequins, and I couldn't wear it because I could hurt myself with it or someone else with a sequin. I don't know. And they threatened to cut the string out of my furry Hello Kitty pajama pants, and I was like, no, I'll just wear gross paper pants instead. You're not cutting my pants. So yeah, it was terrible. Hopefully your experience was better. Um, yeah. Hopefully everybody's doing good. I'm actually doing quite well myself. School has just started back. Things are crazy. I applied to college today. I'm so old. Ugh. And yeah. But hopefully everybody's good. And I guess I'll see you guys later. Bye.